paint the walls, find a cooker, write a recipe, and there's a menu. Print it out, oh, here we are. Lost a lot of good people from the things I've said or done that were not the right thing to do. Worked with for 4 years, called Zita, and without her, I don't feel like some of this would be possible. You've got to have one recipe of success and then replicate it. One day I decided I really quite like a yoga studio. Don't know why, because I don't even do yoga. But the idea of it sounded really nice. You've got to take that risk, because if there's no risk, there's no reward.
If you're looking to be inspired, motivated and educated by the business journeys and lessons learnt of Leeds business owners, then this is the podcast for you. And I'm your host, Phil Fraser. Before we start, I have one simple request. Please hit the follow or subscribe button on the app that you're listening on. Today's guest launched her restaurant business right in the middle of COVID. Listen how COVID itself drove innovation, what the inspiration was for the 2 subsequent businesses she's launched, and how expansion brings its own problems. Hold on to your seats. This is a fast-paced episode. On today's Leeds Business Podcast, I'm delighted to have with me Danielle Best, founder of Mexi Bean Express. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, you okay?
I'm all good. Now, what happens when a social media freelancer decides to start a Mexican restaurant? How did that come about?
Well, it was born out of COVID. So during the pandemic, I like to travel, like to eat food, and I remember looking for Mexican food takeaways in lockdown, and there was nothing. So that was in the first lockdown, and we just then decided just to make loads of Mexican food at home, guacamole, fajitas. Every time people came round, we had Mexican food, and it kind of was just something that it was a thought, and I then decided that I was going to have a look for a site. And actually, we were baking cakes in lockdown. That was what we were doing. And I was looking for a cake shop. Found this cake shop in Sorby Bridge, and it had one red chair, one green chair, one orange chair, one yellow chair, one pink chair, one purple chair. And I looked at somebody and I said, "Does this scream Mexican restaurant to you or what?" And they were like, "Now you said it, yeah." So I was like, "Right, let's open a Mexican restaurant." And that is literally how it happened.
And that was it. You've never done any retail or catering before?
I was 13 years old. My first job was working in a bra shop. That was it.
Right.
So yeah, no hospitality experience, nothing.
Wow. Any business plan? How? All right. So you had the idea. What happens next?
Paint the walls, find a cooker, write a recipe, and there's a menu. Print it out, oh, here we are.
Wow. And that was it. That was just,
yeah. I'm sure there was a lot more to it. I've got a lot more pictures and a lot more, messages where blood, sweat and tears will have come out. But looking back, I feel like it was pretty easy, or I made it seem pretty easy with 3 kids in tow.
Okay. And how did you fund that?
So I just sold my house, and the guy that was the chef. He'd got some funds, put them together, and then started it.
Wow. So how long was it between the idea and opening?
Oh, literally. I think, if I remember rightly, I came back from Spain in the end of August, found the site in September, and we opened in the October. It was really quite quick. And then we went back into another lockdown in the November.
So you opened a restaurant and then went into lockdown?
Yeah. Yeah, went into lockdown. Well, then we had to adapt to the takeaway side of it, and that was something that we'd not really thought about as much, because the restaurant, we didn't imagine that we were going to go into another lockdown. Opened the restaurant, and it was in Sorby Bridge. Now, Sorby Bridge is, I don't know if you know it, it's quite a small village life. So a Mexican restaurant opened there, everyone was really excited. You couldn't get a table, we were packed, and then all of a sudden it went to nothing because no one can come out. So somebody said, "Well, are you doing takeaways?" And we were like, "Well, we're not equipped for takeaways. We haven't got any packaging, or we haven't got this, or we haven't got that." So anyway, we went out, found it, got it. And then I remember every night in lockdown, it was 50 to 80 checks every night coming through, just one after the other. And I had to employ another chef very, very quickly. And it was just, it just took off massively. So then I remember thinking, what happens when we come out of lockdown? Because I don't want delivery drivers walking through. It's a small restaurant. them walking through the restaurant, disturbing the customers. So very quickly, I remember thinking, right, I need a second site nearby. And actually, let's look at making that more of an express. So it was Mexi Bean then transformed into Mexi Bean Express, because Mexi Bean Express is where I saw the fast food coming from, the QSR model type, and then, and it evolved into that.
All this sounds very. I'm sure there were lots of hard bits, but it all sounds very. Oh, we'll just do that. We'll just do that. We'll just do that. Is
Yeah, I
that the
think
way it
that's
went?
about that's my attitude. I've just got to do it, and if it doesn't work, then we adapt to it. And I think that's something that the way I was brought up, you just got to try it. If it doesn't work, it's not a failure. You just try again.
Okay, okay. And where do you think that comes from in you?
Probably my parents, really. They were both very resilient, and I think it's business minded, very successful business people. But I think that it's something that I probably subconsciously took on quite at a young age. And now, I've got a lot to thank them for, because I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now with the mentality that I've got if it wasn't for them. So it's not been easy, but I think I make it look easy to everybody.
Okay, okay. So what were the first? I mean, obviously, apart from COVID, what were the first sort of big problems you hit with Mexi Bean and Mexi Bean Express?
Staff.
Go on,
Um, got
talk us through the problems of staff.
well, so actually, business partners. I got into business with the wrong person. That it didn't cost me anything. It could have done if I was just to roll over, but I got into business with the wrong person. Brilliant guy, brilliant chef, just not to the right person to do business with. And I remember giving him £20 and saying, please, can you leave now? It's not working out. So, yeah, that was very difficult, because I then felt as though I couldn't do it without him. Like, for some reason, I was blindsided that there was only one chef in the world that would ever be able to cook my food on my menus. As time went on, and I did realise there was more capable chefs out there, and a lot more people willing to help me when I was willing to help myself. So it evolved then from, like, going from Sorby Bridge and Halifax to then opening Huddersfield and Brighouse. But with that, yeah, that's great. We're expanding. But with that came so many more problems. It was finding the right staff. Staff have not got the same vision that you've got. They've not got as many responsibilities. It was just really difficult. And having not managed people before, it was just something that I kind of wasn't great at all to begin with. I've learned a lot along the way. I've lost a lot of good people from, the things I've said or done that were not the right thing to do, but I had no guidance. So I was just not a young girl, but I was a younger girl, just trying to make a way in a food industry, which is already very yeah, that's the word.
Fractious.
Fractious, that's the word. And chefs are really highly strung. There's a lot of information surrounding chefs, late nights, antisocial hours, drinking, all that kind of thing. So you're already playing with people that are quite up there anyway. So that was probably the hardest part, was the staff. But fingers crossed, we've got a really, really, really good team now.
Okay, okay. And you just sort of threw that out there. You expanded 3 or 4 different places. How did that go? Was that just find sites, put the signage up, and open them, or it can't be
So
that easy.
no, as we got better, everything else needed to get better. So I remember the first site, it was buying secondhand equipment. It was getting your brother's, sister's, uncle's brother to come and do a bit of plastering. It was favours, beg, stealing, borrowing, that kind of thing. But as we got better, we needed to use better quality people. So you needed to get, high standard electrics installed, using better equipment. And we learned a lot along the way. Like, everything evolved at the right time, and we're still evolving now. It's, I've got a site opening in Wakefield, and I've got all my kitchen equipment that we've used for every kitchen that we've ever had, to now be told the week before we open, or the week before we start training, we can't use that, you can't use that. So we've now had a curveball thrown at us, so we've got to adapt again. But actually, that's great, because that's put us up 3 or 4 years ahead of where we were going to be. It's just forced us to do it now. And I think a lot of that came, like, things happened that actually I know they needed to happen, but I didn't know how to get there. And it was a lot of it was, my hand was forced, which was great. And I met some really, 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 really good people along the way. Really good landlords that have been really supportive. I'm very passionate. I'm very driven. I've got massive dreams. And I think it's only quite contagious. If you sit in a room with me, you can hear that, it comes across. So everybody was like bought in, and I'm like, McDonald's is only like 70 years old. Well, imagine if you were part of McDonald's 70 years ago, like where would your life be now? Like, this is what Mexi Bean's going to be like. And people are like, it's a bit like Marmite, they either love it or hate it. But the people that have come to me and work with me get it, get me, get the vision, get the dream, and want to be part of it.
Okay. And as part of that journey, where have you found support?
Good question. A lot of it's come from external bodies, really, people that I've worked with externally. I've had some good coaches, some really good mentors. That's really, really helped me. I've worked with a coach that I've worked with for 4 years, called Zita, and without her, I don't feel like some of this would be possible, because she's kind of them self-doubt days and then that lack of belief that you sometimes nip into. Don't do it anymore. I remember the second site I opened, shot from Sorby Bridge to Halifax, and my sales just went in a week. The week before I was opening, just dropped. And I remember thinking, what am I doing? Why am I opening another one? No one wants Mexican food anymore. What am I going to do? And I thought, it'll be fine. I just went with it. Anyway, it was fine. Third site that we're opening, it did it again. Sales dropped. Danielle goes into a state of panic. Oh my God, I don't think I should do this. Oh God, I can't do this. Fourth shop I opened, did it again. We've been here before, Danielle. Let's not talk ourselves out of it. It's just something that happens for some reason. It's the universe trying to test you. Are you strong enough for this? Do you want it? And how much are you prepared to put in to get it? So I live by them theories now. But yeah, back to your question. Sorry, Phil. People in support, mentors, coaches. Yeah, massive thank you to all of them.
Okay. In terms of growth, you can't duplicate Danielle every time you open a store.
No.
How do you get around that? Because this is one of the problems a lot of businesses find, particularly when they're multi-location.
Yeah.
You can't be at every store, and you can't be there cracking the whip and motivating people. How have you managed that?
To be fair, I've actually got I've got my son working for me. That massively helps, because he knows Danielle, work, home, everything standard wise, Danielle. So I took him out of school at 13, to everybody's disgust, and put him in a kitchen and said, you're going to learn to do everything that I can do and better. And he's now 17, passed his driving test, and can go out there and represent the company how I want it to be done. So, as I said, we've got Wakefield Westgate opening next week, and he will be the front there. I don't want the staff to know me anymore. I don't want them to come to me. It's Alfie now, because I want to train him to do what I do. And also, I've spent a long time writing the operations manual. So my operations manual now is how I want you to look, how I want you to speak, what I want you to address the customers like, how I want you to pack a bag. It's literally the Bible now. So that will be a massive turning point again. Okay.
That actually leads us nicely into franchising, because I know you're just starting to do that. So this week's how-to is going to be how to build a franchise. So Danielle, take it away. Tell us how to build a franchise.
So, well, I remember walking into Mexi Bean, probably had it about 3 months, and I was like, right, this is going to be a franchise. And everyone's like, what's a franchise? It's like, well, I'll show you what a franchise is. It's McDonald's, it's this, it's that. And everyone's like, oh, really? Yeah. So I rang a guy and I said, hi, I've got a restaurant. I want to franchise it. And he's like, okay, talk to me about it. So I sat in the hairdressers and I was talking to him about it. And he probably thought I was crazy. And I probably sounded crazy, because I just knew I wanted to be massive, and I knew it wanted to be national and global. Anyway, time went on, kept in contact with him, and he said to me, you've got to have more than one. You've got to have one recipe of success and then replicate it. You've got to be able to do that, because that's showing that you can do it. So I was like, okay, I'll come back with you when I've got another one. Anyway, I went back to him again, and I said, well, the thing is, I think I quite like all this. I like doing it myself. He's like, well, do another one if you want. So time went on. I'd done 3 or 4, and I just then decided I'm just going to do it. So lots of people, when you start talking conversations with franchise, everybody tells you they can do this for you, they've done that, they've helped this company, they've helped that company, they brought this to the UK, they took that to America. And it's a lot of like cutting the wheat from the chaff. The most important thing is that you find the right franchise consultant for your business. And when I met Susie, who I'm working with at Platinum Wave, I just knew we just gelled. Like, she just got me from the minute that I opened my mouth. She was like, "We love you. We love your energy. Everybody in the office loves you. Like, we really want to work with you." So the most important thing is finding the right people to work with. Once you find the right people to work with, they make it so much easier for you because they've done it before. They've got the templates. They can help you with the operations manual. They can proofread things for you. I stepped into territory, well, from the beginning, of things that I'd never done before. And every day I'm into new territory. I've never done that before. Not how do I do it? And you've got to use people like that as a sounding board. And it's really, really crucial that you get on with them, because there's nothing worse than working with people that you can't get on with. We've just been getting our accreditations from the British Franchise Association. And I spoke to the guy on the phone and he was like, "Right, who have you used? Which solicitor have you used?" Asking me the questions. And he was like, "Right, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant." He's like, "Right, I don't need as much information from you now because I know you've used the right people." I was like, so actually put in more money or put in more time to get it right the first time, because there's nothing worse than having to go and do it and duplicate it again. Operations manual, massive thing. I mean, one of the things I didn't do, and I've got other businesses now, which I am doing, I didn't document everything from the get-go. So that is crucial. Everything needs to be documented. Everything, literally, to where do you buy your toilet roll from, literally everything on spreadsheets. I live by a spreadsheet now, so everything's documented. Where do we get that from? I can tell you how much is it, yeah, what quantity does it come in? Everything like that needs to be documented. Because that's where I feel like I've had to go back and unpick things from 4 years to find out the answers, which could have saved me a lot of time had I have had that document there. So then once you've found your company to work with, it's then about, your operations manual is massive, and then it's finding the recruitment agency. We stayed with Platinum Wave because they're they do everything for us, and then they can go out and sell your business for you, with your prospectus, with your landlord packs, with everything like that, and they make it look even easier.
Okay. So the three main keys, I guess, then are: one, make sure you have everything documented, systems, processes, quality control, all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Second thing is get the right franchise partner.
Yeah, 100%.
And then the third thing is get the right legals in place that make sure it all stacks up.
Yeah. Definitely.
Okay. So if anybody wants to, anybody interested in taking up a franchise, there you go. Easy way to do it. I don't know if easy is the right word, but
No,
there's your how.
definitely not easy.
There's your how-to. And actually, if anybody wants to hear more about franchising, Kate Ball of Mini First Aid, who was a guest a while ago, she talked about franchising as well. So check out that episode. Okay, before we carry on, I need to talk to our listeners and viewers about the Leeds Business Podcast Fair Deal. The Leeds Business Podcast Fair Deal has two sides to it. My side of it, every week, free of charge, I bring you inspirational, motivational, and fascinating guests like Danielle. Your side of the deal, listener and viewer, is to recommend this podcast to one other person you feel will get benefit from it. And that's it. That's the Leeds Business Podcast Fair Deal. Sound like a fair deal, Danielle?
It does, yeah, definitely.
Okay. So just on that, have you started taking on franchisees, or is that work in progress at the moment?
So I've met some guys in Peterborough, and we had a conversation yesterday. They've just found their site that they want to secure to take on the first Mexi Bean franchise.
Oh wow. Fantastic.
Yeah, so really exciting. Yeah, another milestone.
Absolutely. So how many wholly owned venues have you got at the moment?
5.
So you got 5, and then you'll add. I'm guessing there'll be a huge learning curve once that Peterborough store opens, because that'll be completely
100%.
different to you doing everything.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's where I need to then actually invest more time in the people and say, I'm going to go there. I'll be there for 3 weeks with your store opening. I'm on the phone. What do you need from me? And the thing is, the difference between me doing that role and the role I do now is actually, these are people that have invested time and money. So they've got, it's like me, it's employing other me's basically, but that have got the financial and time attachment to it, that they've got to make it work. They might have remortgaged the houses, or they've taken a bank loan out. So they've really got to make it work. Not like Sue that doesn't have to come to work because she can sign on the dole next week. It doesn't matter. These people actually really want to make a business work. And that's what I think that's going to be where my passion really will come from, is watching the other guys succeed. And, you know, you win, I win, we all win together. And that's a big thing for me.
Okay. I've just had a thought, actually. If anybody's interested in becoming a Mexi Bean franchise, there will be contact details in the show notes when
Definitely.
this comes out, so they can have a look at that. So Danielle, you've got a Mexi Bean restaurant, you've got Mexi Bean Express, you're launching a
Yeah.
franchise. That must keep you totally busy. There's no space to open any other businesses, is there?
Nah, loads of time. 24 hours in a day, Phil. I only need 4 hours sleep.
Okay, so let's talk first about Kalm with a kicking cup.
Yes, we love Kalm. So Kalm is literally the calm to my chaos. I
Okay.
had some spare space above one of my restaurants. It was just a dumping ground for everyone to put all the stock in, and it had a desk in it, and it was a bit drab. And one day I decided I really quite like a yoga studio. Don't know why, because I don't even do yoga. But the idea of it sounded really nice. And yeah, and so I took somebody to look at the space, and I said, "This is what I want to do." And they were like, "What a beautiful space!" And I'm thinking, "Where are you looking? There's no carpets. The walls are all scabby, but yeah, it's a beautiful space." Fast forward 12 months, it's a stunning place. If you've not visited Brighouse Calm, it's absolutely phenomenal. We've got ice baths, we've got saunas, we do yoga, Pilates, and we've got a superfood cafe and treatments. We do beauty treatments and massages and things like that. So it kind of just came out of nowhere. It was just like a thought process, and then it happened. And it literally is something that everybody needs in their life, a little bit of calm.
Okay. And I'm guessing the way you just described it, as with Mexi Bean, no business plan, just go for it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny is because the people that I work with are very, like, some of them are like this, like the designers and the shop fitters that I work with, it's all very like cigarette packet days, like right on the back of a fag packet. This is what we're going to do. Where's my drawing? Like, you know, where all these companies that try and approach me and tender for work with me, they send me out these CAD drawings with all these specifications, and I can't understand it. I'm like, just draw on a piece of paper and show me where it's going to be. So there was no kind of business plan. It was a little bit like, well, there isn't anything like it. I know it's going to be amazing. We're going to be the best at what we do. So let's just give it a shot. If it doesn't work, at least we tried.
Okay, and that's a separate, completely separate company.
Yeah. That's completely different. It's called Calm, and it's just directly above Mexi Bean.
Okay, and there'll
In
be a
Brickhouse.
link to that in the show notes. So we've got Mexi Bean Express, we've got Mexi Bean the restaurant, we've got Kalm. There can't be any space for another business, could there?
Well, when you've got a 13-year-old child that's as driven as I am, there needs to be space for it, because he's not academic. I mean, I've told you about one of them that I've taken out of school at 13 to be a chef. He's a Forex trader as well now, so that's him. I've got a daughter at 14 that's at drama school that wants to be an actress, so she's fine. And then I've got a 13-year-old tearaway that doesn't like school, that just wants to make money, that just wants to come to work with his mum and just be like his mum. So when
Okay.
he comes to me and says, "Mum, there's no dessert shop in Brighouse. Can we open one?" So what do you want to call it? He said, "Charlie's," because he's called Charlie. So why not? I said, "Right, come on then, let's do it." So 3 months ago, Charlie and I decided to open a dessert shop called Charlie's.
Again, business plan in place?
Yeah, loads. Like, I can't move for business plans this time. I'm a pro at writing them now.
So again, just decide to open a dessert shop and find a place and go for it.
Yeah. I think it's sometimes you just got to take that risk, because if there's no risk, there's no reward. And when we say there's no business plan, I do a lot of market research. I go around a lot. I eat a lot of food. I try a lot of different places. I observe what's going on, look at the market. That for me is where I kind of get my knowledge and information from. Yeah. And my 13-year-old son, obviously, this time as well.
Okay. Interestingly, I was looking at the logo for Charlie's Desserts, and it's purple and whitish, and the word
Yeah.
Charlie, and I think it's a top hat in there as well.
Yeah.
Any reference points in there?
Well, we've got some golden tickets inside as well. Don't know how, when we start and franchise that one, I'm not quite sure if we're going to hit some trademarking issues, but we'll address that when we come to it.
Okay.
But he's
But
called Charlie, and he's the blonde-haired boy.
yeah,
That is my
yeah.
son.
Can't argue with that, can you? Can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Just taking a step back then. So you've got all these businesses. How are
Yeah.
you going to manage you through all this? Because it's going to be quite chaotic.
Yeah, well, jokes aside, that is really why I open Kalm, because it is a little bit of a haven. It is I joke and say I don't have time to do yoga. There are things that I do there, like we do guided meditations, we do sound baths. I go for regular massage there. It is that was a kind of thing where I also offer my staff a free membership there so they can use any of the facilities there, because I know how hard we all work, and I know how hard this industry the hospitality industry is. It's very chaotic. So, jokes aside, Kalm is somewhere that I do use as a hub for downtime as well. I do walk in and say, "Oh, your bins haven't been empty for 3 weeks, and that's dirty over there." But on the whole, it's somewhere where I do go for a little bit of me time.
Okay. You've obviously got three B2C businesses. How do you
Yeah.
go about how do you go about marketing them all? What are your marketing tips?
And again, it's my team really. I've just started working with a PR agency who are going to take that away from me. I found that the marketing that I've done for my business is what pops into my head, and I just do that. It's it's all been very much what I've thought about, and we'll do that, and it's worked, and that's great. But I'm now at my capacity. I am, I can't do anymore. I can't do everything, and I've had to now take a step back and realize, right, I've getting an ops manager in place. We've got a PR agency to take over that kind of thing. They're the kind of things where I'm really passionate about them. So it's really important that I get the right people to do the job better than I can do it.
Okay. And from a financial point of view, this has all been self-funded. You got any external investors?
No, yeah, I've got an investor. He's kind of a silent partner. Just kind of get on with it, Danielle. You know what you're doing. But always looking for other investors too. So, but a lot of it initially it started self-funded. You get to a point where you can't do anymore. Every site I opened for Mexi Bean originally, I didn't open the next one until I'd got the funds to open another one. Now we get to a point, because we were kind of like uncles, brothers, sisters, helping hands. Now we're at that point where we need equipment that is tens of thousands of pounds. It isn't just a case of I can open one. I've had a store in the pipeline since September last year. It takes as long as it takes now. Didn't want to have any external funding from banks, haven't had anything like that. Didn't really want to have any loans. Don't like the idea of like owing somebody something. I'd rather sit down at a table and speak to somebody and say, look, we need to buy this. Can we make this happen? And, they can sit down and say, well, what are the figures like for this time and that time? And we can discuss it.
Okay. And over the Mexi Bean journey,
Yeah.
giving you an opportunity to blow your own trumpet here, you've won a couple of awards, haven't you?
Yes.
Go on, tell us what you've won.
Most recently, Yorkshire's hospitality leader.
Wow,
Yes, with
that's
the
a
business
biggie.
desk. Yeah, and I think it was Emerging Entrepreneur 2024. And we were voted one of Yorkshire's best companies to work for. Most exciting companies. And Made in
Fantastic.
Yorkshire, Manufacturing Company 2024 too.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's really impressive.
yeah, we're going to win the franchise award in the next 3 years to be the fastest growing franchise in the UK.
Okay, we'll look out for that.
Yeah,
Okay.
100%.
Wow, that's all I can say. Is it's like the all your energy is coming through on this podcast. It
Yeah, you'll
really
be
is.
tired now.
Yeah.
You'll need a nap. Whoa, she was a lot.
Before we finish, I ask all our guests to give a shout out to another company. So
Yeah.
Danielle, I mean, you've mentioned a couple of people. Give a shout out to your coach, because I think she obviously does a lot of hard work.
Zita Weber. She's based in London, but she's an absolutely amazing lady. She's very spiritual as well. I'm very intuitive, so it works really well. I can tell her things, she can tell me things. Love that. But I have got a shout out a company that we are working with at the minute, and they've provided us with some robots in our stores. So if you're following us on social media, you'll see that in Charlie's we've got a robot that brings the food to the table, and also in Mexi Bean we've got a robot that brings you food to the table. And it's a company called Eat It, Drink It. Eat IT, Drink IT, Eat It, Drink It. And they're based in Wakefield.
Okay,
So
we'll allow that. We'll allow that. Wakefield's near enough.
yeah, they might have an office in Leeds.
All right. Okay. There'll be a link to Eat It and Zeta in the show notes if anybody wants to check them both out. Danielle, thank you so much for being on the show. It's been
You're
absolutely
very
fascinating.
welcome. Thank you.
So that's it. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Make sure you hit the follow button so every new episode gets sent straight to your phone. See you next week.